Chapter 1, The Facade. The Chicago penthouse glowed under soft amber lights, its sleek surfaces reflecting the city's restless skyline. Elena Marquez stood before her full-length mirror, adjusting a vibrant red silk scarf that cascaded over her cream dress, an ensemble that radiated poise but hid a heart in quiet turmoil. Her dark curls framed a face that carried both warmth and wariness, her brown eyes catching the flicker of unease she couldn't shake. Tonight was Marcus Langston's annual gala, a stage for their meticulously crafted image as Chicago's power couple, but the cracks in her trust were widening. Elena wasn't born into this world of wealth. Her father, a Mexican-American tech innovator, had left her a fortune after his sudden death a decade ago when she was barely 22. She'd fought to prove herself in Chicago's elite circles, where her heritage and rapid rise drew sneers disguised as smiles. Gold digger, they'd whisper at events, their voices dripping with envy. She'd learned to armor herself with grace, but the barbs still stung. Marcus had been her shield, his charm a balm, until recently when his excuses began to unravel. Marcus appeared in the doorway, his tailored navy suit accentuating his lean frame. His blonde hair was perfectly swept, his hazel eyes glinting with a practiced warmth that could sway a boardroom or a ballroom. But there was a restless edge to him tonight, a subtle tightness in his smile. "Elena, you're a vision," he said, his tone smooth but slightly rushed as he placed a hand on her shoulder. His touch, once electric, now sparked doubt. She offered a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You always know what to say, don't you?" He laughed, a sound polished but hollow, and checked his Rolex, a gift from their first anniversary back when she believed in forever. "We should head out. The car's waiting." He grabbed his phone from the dresser, a notification flashing on the screen. His fingers froze for a split second before he shoved it into his pocket. "Work," he said, catching her gaze in the mirror. "Always something." Elena's stomach knotted and her gut twisted. Work. The word had become a catch-all for late nights, cryptic texts, and weekend trips he brushed off with a grin. Marcus was a senior partner at Langston Capital, a man whose ambition was as sharp as his jawline, but his vagueness was wearing thin. She dismissed the whispers about his wandering eye as petty gossip until now. "Let's not keep them waiting," she said, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. Chapter 2, The Gala. The Art Institute of Chicago shimmered with decadence, its grand halls aglow with crystal chandeliers and the murmur of power. The gala was a parade of Chicago's elite, bankers, philanthropists, and socialites, all cloaked in designer finery and ulterior motives. Elena moved through the crowd with effortless charm, her laughter bright, her conversation sharp. She knew her role, the dazzling wife who softened Marcus's edges, the one who made their partnership seem invincible. Marcus was in his element, his charisma a gravitational pull. He worked the room with a politician's finesse, his handshakes firm, his anecdotes perfectly timed. But Elena's eyes tracked him, his lingering smiles with certain women, the way his gaze darted to his phone when he thought no one noticed. She played her part, her hand resting lightly on his arm, but her heart was a coiled spring. Beside them was Julian Kessler, Marcus's right-hand man at the firm, a wiry man with sharp cheekbones and sharper ambition. Julian's dark eyes flicked between Marcus and Elena, his smile a touch too eager. "You two are the dream team," he said, raising a champagne flute. "Here's to another year of crushing it." Elena smiled, but her mind lingered on Julian's intensity. He was fiercely loyal to Marcus, almost possessive, and his flattery always felt calculated. She'd caught him watching her at past events, his gaze unreadable as if sizing her up. During a lull, Elena excused herself, her heels clicking on the marble floor as she headed toward the restroom. As she passed a shadowed corridor, Marcus's voice stopped her cold, low, urgent, laced with irritation. She slowed, her pulse hammering, and pressed herself against the wall. "You need to stop pushing," Marcus was saying. "I've got this handled." A woman's voice, sultry and commanding, cut through the air. "Handled? Marcus, you're playing a dangerous game. She's not as naive as you think." Elena's breath hitched. She peered around the corner, her heart sinking. Marcus stood with Vanessa Crane, a socialite whose family owned half the city's skyline. Vanessa's platinum hair gleamed under the dim light, her black gown clinging to her like a second skin. Her hand rested on Marcus's arm, too intimate, too proprietary. Vanessa was a predator in pearls, her beauty a weapon she wielded with surgical precision. "She's not going anywhere," Marcus said, his voice low but firm. "She's got too much to lose." Vanessa's laugh was sharp, like glass shattering. "You're such a bastard. That's why I like you." Elena's hands trembled as she retreated, her mind a whirlwind. She rejoined the gala, her smile a brittle mask, and endured the night, every touch from Marcus a betrayal, every laugh from the crowd a mockery. When they returned home, he poured a whiskey, oblivious to the storm in her chest. "Great night, wasn't it?" he said, loosening his tie, his tone casual. "We're unstoppable together." Elena stood by the window, her back to him, the city's lights blurring through unshed tears. "Who was she, Marcus?" Her voice was calm, but it carried a razor's edge. He froze, glass halfway to his lips. "Who? Don't play dumb." She turned, her eyes locking onto his. "Vanessa. In the corridor. I heard you." His face tightened, but he recovered quickly, setting the glass down. "Elena, you're overreacting. She's a client. We were discussing a deal. A deal that involves her touching you like she owns you?" Elena's voice rose, her anger breaking free. "I'm not blind, Marcus." He sighed, running a hand through his hair, his exasperation a performance. "You're being paranoid. This is the life we built. Don't ruin it over nothing." "Nothing?" She stepped closer, her fury a living thing. "I've heard the rumors, Marcus. People saying I'm just your trophy, your gold digger wife. But it's you, isn't it? Using me to climb higher, to get to people like Vanessa." His jaw clenched, a flicker of guilt, or was it fear, crossing his face. "You're tired. Let's talk tomorrow." She stared at him, the man she'd built her world around, and saw only lies. Without another word, she grabbed her purse and left, the door slamming behind her like a gunshot. Chapter 3: The Truth. Elena drove aimlessly through the city, tears blurring the neon lights. She ended up at Sofia Torres's loft in Wicker Park, collapsing onto the couch as the truth poured out. Sofia, a freelance journalist with a razor-sharp mind and a no-nonsense demeanor, handed her a steaming mug of coffee. Her short black hair was mussed, her brown eyes fierce with protectiveness. "He's playing you," Sofia said, her voice firm but kind. "You need proof, Elena. Check his phone, his emails. If he's cheating, there'll be a trail." Elena wiped her eyes, her hands still shaking. "What if it's true? What if I'm just a stepping stone?" Sofia leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "Then you take back your power. You're not the gold digger here. He is. You're Elena Marquez, the woman who built a foundation from her father's legacy. Don't let him steal that from you." Sofia's words lit a spark in Elena's chest. The next morning, she waited until Marcus left for the office, his briefcase swinging with his usual swagger. Her hands trembled as she unlocked his phone, his passcode. Their anniversary date was a cruel irony. She opened his messages, her heart plummeting as she found a thread with Vanessa. Flirty texts, suggestive photos, plans for discreet weekends at a lake house in Wisconsin. One message from Vanessa read, "Once you're free, we'll seal the Crane deal. Her money's nice, but you're mine." Elena's vision blurred with tears and rage. Marcus had married her for her inheritance, a trust fund from her father's tech empire. She'd thought his love was genuine, but he'd been siphoning her wealth, funneling it into offshore accounts while planning a future with Vanessa. But there was more, a message from Julian Kessler, cryptic but damning: "Keep Vanessa happy. She's our ticket to the Crane portfolio. Don't let Elena suspect anything." Julian, the loyal sidekick, was in on it, too. Elena didn't crumble. Instead, she moved with cold precision like a chess player plotting checkmate. She hired a private investigator, a gruff ex-cop named Rosa Callahan, who had a knack for uncovering secrets. She transferred her assets to a protected account, her financial advisor, a savvy woman named Priya Shah, working overtime to secure her wealth. She met with a divorce attorney, Michael Weiss, whose calm demeanor and ruthless reputation gave her confidence. All the while, she played the devoted wife, her smiles hiding a growing resolve. Chapter 4: The Climax. Weeks later, Elena invited Marcus to dinner at Lou Rivage, a quiet restaurant overlooking the Chicago River. She wore a black dress that hugged her curves, her red scarf a vivid slash of defiance, her composure a steel cage. Marcus arrived, his charm intact, unaware of the trap closing around him. He ordered a Bordeaux, his hazel eyes glinting with easy confidence. "Elena, what's this about?" he asked, swirling his wine. "You've been distant." She slid a manila folder across the table, her expression unreadable. "Open it." He frowned, his fingers hesitating before flipping it open. His eyes widened at the divorce papers, followed by a cascade of evidence, printed screenshots of his texts with Vanessa, financial records showing his siphoning of her funds, bank statements tracing transfers to offshore accounts, and Rosa's report detailing his affair with Vanessa and Julian's complicity. His wine glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the hardwood floor, the sound echoing like a death knell. "Elena," he stammered, his face paling, "this is a misunderstanding. I love you." "Save it," she cut him off, her voice cold as ice. "You used me. My money, my name, my trust. You thought I was too naive to notice." His charm crumbled, his eyes darting like a cornered animal's. You don't understand. Vanessa, she's nothing. It was just business. Business? Elena leaned forward, her eyes blazing. You sold our marriage for a deal that doesn't exist. You're pathetic, Marcus. His face hardened, a flicker of desperation giving way to anger. You think you can just walk away? You'll be nothing without me. The city will eat you alive. She stood, her voice steady and lethal. I was never nothing, Marcus. You're the one who's nothing without my money. He lunged, grabbing her wrist, his grip bruising. You'll regret this. She yanked free, her gaze unflinching. No, Marcus. You will. As she turned to leave, Julian appeared at the entrance, his sharp features tense. He'd been waiting, perhaps sensing trouble. Elena, let's talk this out, he said, his voice oily with false concern. She paused, her eyes narrowing. You're as guilty as he is, Julian. Don't think I'll forget. She walked out, the river's reflection shimmering like her resolve. Behind her, Marcus's world began to implode. Chapter 5, The Twist. The divorce was swift, Michael Weiss dismantling Marcus's defenses with surgical precision. Marcus's reputation crumbled as Rosa's findings leaked to Chicago's elite, whispers of his schemes spreading like wildfire. Julian, caught in the fallout, was quietly ousted from Langston Capital, his ambition reduced to ashes. Elena reclaimed her wealth, her independence, and her life. She poured her energy into her father's foundation, funding tech scholarships for underrepresented youth, her legacy no longer tied to a man's name. But the story didn't end there. 6 months later, at a charity auction at the Drake Hotel, Elena stood in a sapphire gown, her poise unshakable. She was bidding on a Basquiat when she overheard a conversation that stopped her cold. Vanessa Crane, now engaged to a hedge fund tycoon, was laughing with a friend near the bar, her platinum hair catching the light. Marcus was so easy, Vanessa said, her voice dripping with disdain. He thought he was playing Elena, but I was playing him. The Crane deal never existed. I just needed him to tank his marriage so I could get to her trust fund through him. Pity he was too greedy to see it. Her friend gasped, delighted. You're ruthless, Vanessa. Vanessa smirked, sipping her martini. It's a game, darling, and I always win. Elena's blood ran cold. The plot twist hit like a freight train. Marcus hadn't been the mastermind. Vanessa had orchestrated it all, using Marcus's greed to manipulate him into betraying Elena, hoping to siphon her wealth through a carefully laid scheme. Marcus was a pawn, not a king. And Julian? Likely another piece on Vanessa's board. His loyalty bought with promises of power. Elena's first instinct was to confront Vanessa, to shatter her smug facade. But she stopped herself, her mind racing. Vanessa thrived on chaos, on bending others to her will. A public scene would only feed her ego. Instead, Elena smiled, raised her paddle to bid higher on the Basquiat, and walked away, her head high. She'd survived one betrayal, she wouldn't fall for another. But she wasn't done. She called Rosa that night, her voice calm but resolute. Dig into Vanessa Crane. Everything, her finances, her deals, her secrets. I want to know how she plays her game. Rosa chuckled, her voice gravelly. You're a force, Elena. I'm on it. Chapter 6, The Aftermath. Elena didn't seek revenge, at least not in the way Vanessa would expect. She used Rosa's findings to quietly tip off regulators about Vanessa's questionable real estate deals, letting the law do its work. Vanessa's empire began to wobble, her engagement unraveling as her fiancé distanced himself from the scandal. Elena didn't gloat, she didn't need to. She'd reclaimed her narrative, her strength forged in the ashes of betrayal. Marcus, meanwhile, faded into obscurity, his charm no match for his ruined reputation. He sent Elena a letter once, a rambling plea for forgiveness, but she burned it without reading past the first line. Julian resurfaced briefly, peddling a tell-all memoir, but it flopped, his credibility as tarnished as his loyalty. Sophia remained Elena's rock, her blunt humor a constant anchor. You're a badass, she said over wine one night, raising a glass. To you, Elena, and to never letting them win. Elena smiled, her heart lighter than it had been in years. To us, she said, clinking her glass, and to burning their games to the ground. Reflection. Elena's journey is a testament to the fragility of trust and the corrosive allure of ambition. Marcus's betrayal, fueled by greed and insecurity, reveals a man undone by his own need for control. Vanessa's manipulation, layered and cold, exposes the danger of those who see life as a chessboard, with people as pawns. Julian's complicity, driven by blind loyalty and ambition, underscores the cost of aligning with deceit. Yet Elena's transformation from a woman wounded by love to one who reclaims her power offers a powerful lesson. Resilience is born from self-awareness, and true strength lies in refusing to let others define your worth. In a world where motives are rarely pure, Elena's refusal to be a victim reminds us that even in the ashes of betrayal, there's gold to be found, our own.